So we're going to, I just want to introduce myself. My name's Amy Craig. I am the team leader of a subject called Transformational Learning at Perrins School. And this is Jo Levitt, who is our, and I'm going to get our e-learning admin officer. And she's going to go into her role a little bit later on as well. And down the front, you can wave, guys, because they'll get a minute, is our three of our, we call our transform leaders. So they apply to be a leader within my subject, and then we give them leadership opportunities like this to come and present at conferences and outside of school and stuff. So they're going to be speaking a bit later on, but that's just a little bit about who we are. These are kind of the things we're going to go through very quickly. I was just saying to Jo, I'm so much of a teacher. I've put all my learning objectives in the beginning of the PowerPoint, and I've just realised I've done it. So we're going to go a little bit about Perins and why we're unique and how it's easy for us to do what we do. I'm going to tell you what Transform is, because we use Mahara so much in Transform. It's kind of where we use it the most. How we use Mahara in Transform, a bit about the assessment and feedback. We're going to look about how we use Mahara across the whole school. And then the kids are going to get up and do a bit about what Mahara means to them and how they see it. And then we're going to do something about Passports to Success, which is another whole school initiative. Right, let's go into... First of all, we'd just like you to have a watch of a video that Jo made, about, I don't know, a month or so ago, about why we believe Perins is so unique, why we love Perins, and how e-learning is kind of at the heart of what we do. Oh.
see, all of our e-learning is embedded across the whole curriculum. The three main e-learning platforms we use are Moodle. Who uses Moodle here? There's quite a few people, isn't there? Yeah, so I don't have to tell you about that. We use it. We don't just want it as just documents on there. We try to make it as interactive as we can, so the students are really engaged. So we do this with interactive quizzes. We do some years, some subjects actually do their Year 7 assessments on it now, which has worked really well. It's saved the teachers so much time with marking, and we've actually learned that they have more time to teach them other things because the e-learning is actually making things more efficient. We tailor databases, we create databases. For example, if someone's been assessed in drama, we can actually do the assessment live, and it's all documented and kept in a database. And we really encourage peer assessment within the students, and we do that in Moodle and Mahara. The other system we use is Show My Homework, so they still do have a diary for certain things, but every single piece of homework that is given in the whole of Perrins School is put on Show My Homework, and it doesn't just say look at it, do what we did in lesson. It actually details the homework, so any parent who has a sign on as well can actually look at the homework, see exactly what's been set, how long it's going to take that student, and they can monitor, and that's really useful. So every student and every parent has access to that. And of course Mahara, we use this a lot across the curriculum as well, and we'll go more into that later.
So what makes us actually able to do this is we have a laptop scheme with the students. So we're in the 9th year of our laptop scheme. So what they do is the students, when they first come to Perrins, they sign up for this scheme, they pay a monthly amount, and they get given a laptop for their whole of their school year. It's covered by insurance, and because they have their own laptop, we are able to do e-learning in every single lesson if we wanted to. The students who don't sign up to the scheme, which actually, if you look, our figures are amazing this year. We've got 100%, all of our Year 7 students took up the scheme this year. We have, which Joe's going to go into a minute, we have basically a department and we have loads of loan laptops, so the teachers can just book out a laptop for any of the students who've got laptops in repair or anything. So every student has access to a laptop at some point, the whole way through their school day, if they wanted to have that.
Yeah, we've actually got dedicated staff, non-teaching staff. They have myself, who's the e-learning administrator, so I look after the systems, and if teachers they come to me and say, Joe, I've got this information, can you make it into something e-learning, more interactive? I will do that for them. I will also, if it's something time consuming, I will do that for them as well. So we can update a lot of our systems, so every subject use it, and they have targets that they have to, every single subject has to use in some sort of way. It's done in a pencil case way. We don't have the whole lesson using e-learning. It's when it's appropriate, so you'll open your laptops, do it for this appropriate part, and then get on and learn the way they normally would have before. We have a network manager who makes sure all the systems are running, emails, everybody has emails, teachers have emails, students have emails. And then we have 3 dedicated IT services team that fix the laptops, anything to do with the system, and it's very smooth. We don't have any major problems, and it's brilliant.
Okay. Right. So at the end of that video, this subject called transformational learning came up, and lots of stuff came up about taking tomatoes up mountains and all that kind of stuff. So basically, the idea behind transformational learning, we call it Transform for short, is students are taught these skills, these soft skills, and we know from so much research that these skills are the skills that are actually deemed the things that the employers are looking for the most. So what we're doing is we do cross-curricular projects, we do science projects and history things and maths things, all that kind of stuff, and we make sure they are looking at these skills whilst they're doing those projects, and then they get assessed on these skills as well. We do this for Key Stage 3, so it's Year 7 and Year 8, and the whole of the year group is taught at the same time. So we're able to have the whole of Year 7 all doing the same project all at the same time, which means we can have visitors come in. Yesterday we had someone from 7 Billion Ideas who runs his own website, and his company came in and spoke to students and set off their own a project that we're going to do with them now. We had Amnesty International come in and speak to the whole of Year 8 all at the same time, so we have so much scope to have visitors in because we teach them all at the same time. And because of that, these skills are just implicit in what they do. They're really lucky, actually. The Year 7s have 3 hours a week and the Year 8s have 2 hours, so we have a prolonged amount of time with them as well. Teachers are I have a different set of teachers every year. So I have 16 members of staff, and each year, if I'm lucky, I might get the same teacher again for the second year round. But it does mean that pretty much the majority of Perrins School at some point have taught Transform. So it means they can then use those skills in their own subjects. So I have history teachers and PE teachers, IT teachers, I've got a geography teacher, I've got a tech teacher, all teaching Transform as well as part of their timetable. The teachers are there to be a facilitator, not a dictator. They're not there to teach. The idea of Transform is that we give them the resources, almost like the framework, and we get the kids to do everything else. So we put stuff on Moodle, and we kind of say, right, this is it, now go. And then we'll say, come and see me if you need to have questions, but brain, book, buddy, boss. And we ask them to go off and do those things. So use their brain first, go out and speak to somebody else first, go brain, book, buddy, boss. And the book is the resource part. So they're doing everything else themselves. So we're teaching them how to be resourceful themselves. That's the fundamental point of Transform. And Mahara massively comes into that for us. We encourage, I'm coming back to what you were saying earlier, and we nodded when you said the phones, because we really encourage the use of devices at Perrins, and in particular Transform, because we have e-learning at the base of our teaching. We use Mahara, we use Moodle. We get them to use a variety of web tools, so Scratch and Bubble Us and all those other things that Poomtown, whatever it's called. They know it better than I do. They just know all these different things. They just go on and do it. And because of Mahara, all of that work they do can be put on into a platform which they then can show their parents or visitors to the school, or they can take with them outside of Perrins. It's just this phenomenal, material they can use now that they weren't able to before. I'm just going to big them up a little bit, because actually this year, or last year actually, we're part of a Learn Alliance, and they actually taught trainee teachers last year, our Transform students, and they got up and they ran a programme all by themselves. So we were only giving them a small section of today, but actually probably could have done the whole thing because they're so brilliant at presenting. Okay, so on to the Mahara. It's just a bit of a background of why we can do what we can do, really. In Transform, we use Mahara for 2 different things. We use it for assessment, so we can track their assessment and track what they're doing with their levels, and we use it for a way of recording their work. Okay, those are the 2 ways we use it. I will quickly go into... Right, so there's a bit of talk about scaffolding, and actually what we found is if we gave them a scaffold, the ones that found it really difficult actually really ran with it, and the ones who found it that was too easy for them were totally happy just to go off and do their own thing. And actually it worked for us. Those students who are our special needs students who really found it difficult to pick up a pen and paper, the scaffolding really helped, and it was there in blocks and they could do it. And the ones that were a bit like, oh miss, I don't really like that, would just put their hand up and say, can I change this bit? And we're like, yeah, go for it. And it really helped them. So actually it didn't hinder us at all. It was actually quite liberating for them. So we have, this is one of our pages. This is what we use for our assessment. This is what we call our assessment collection. So at the top, the different tabs are different terms. And what the students will do is they will have a preset target for that half term. We have, I haven't put it up here actually, which is stupid, but we have criteria for each of the 6 Transform skills. So they would know which levels they are, and they have to write a target against the criteria of where they think they might be. So we use the basic, better, best level system for their criteria. So if they think they're only basic in it, they would take out basic and better and best, and then use the criteria to write themselves a target. So they would do that for both of the 2 targets for that term, and those 2 targets directly link to the projects they will be doing for that term coming up. At the end of the half term, they then get a chance to reflect, and they'll write a reflection on that, and they'll talk about evidence, about what evidence they have gained or they've done to complete their targets, and then they get to write themselves a self-level what they think they are at the end of the target. This side here, we ask teachers to also assess them on these skills too, And what the teachers will do is we give out the levels, and the students will put these in themselves to their pages and edit the right sections, and then they've now got a whole page for the whole term with all of their criteria, all their assessment on it, and all their targets, what they want to do. They go into the next term, and everything is there for them for the whole year. So when they look back at the end of the year, they've got their whole progress for the whole of the year in terms of their skills and how they've progressed, and also their evidence for that as well, so how they reflected on that. This is one of the other way we use it, is we use it for a project. So this is kind of like an e-book, I guess. We scaffold a page for the projects we want them to do Mahara pages from. We don't make them do a Mahara page for every single project, because it seemed we got feedback from them that it was a bit too much. So we just tailored it to the projects that we knew would work with Mahara. This is one of them, which they've just started. Year 7s have just started yesterday, actually. So we've put some titles in there, things they have to put on, and then we've allowed them space to do whatever they want with the rest of it. I wonder if this is an example of a year 7 student, an 11-year-old girl, I think, who did this 2 years ago. And all these things, this Voki and this iPhone text, we taught them Voki, and this is the Poomtown, is it Poomtown? Powtoon, yes, thing here. But they've iPhone thing, they just found themselves. They just went through a load of web tools, found it themselves, and thought, well, that's a better way of showing it rather than just text. We'll just whack that up as well. So this is it's massive way, a really great way of literally just putting all the different ways of learning for them up there. So they like the fact that they can use a red font and they can put a smiley face, and they engage with that. They love that. That's the kind of fun part about it. Them. And we encourage them to take risks with it as well. We encourage them that it's okay if they put something in, it doesn't quite work the first time around. That's fine, because they're reflecting on that and they're learning from that, and they can go on and do something better later. Okay, so the bit that I guess is the teachery bit of it. This is the bit that we let them do all the fun stuff, and then we obviously have to assess and allow them to, and give them feedback on it. So we create, I know some earlier mentioned about the groups. We create a group per teacher for Transform, and we put the kids into those groups. So those are all my teachers, all my Transform teachers there. And then we get the kids to share their collection pages to the group, so that all the other kids in the group can see those collection pages, and the teachers can see those collection pages. And then we ask them to write comments, WWWs and even better ifs of those pages, or in particular things. We might say, can you just go and look at Tara's collection page and give them a target, please, for the way in which they use their reading, writing, and communication skills, or give them a whatever. And so this is a kind of example of some feedback. The teachers obviously do it too, and we do it in a more structured way. We would then get the students, once they've had feedback from a student, we get them to submit the page to us for formal marking, and that's what this is down here. This is one of our old teachers. She's given them formal, and we've got a framework which we give actual structural feedback for. The other thing that we quite like, and parents quite like it, is that because they quite like to be able to see their children's work, it's really nice. And so this allows us to, the secret URL thing is that we can then get that link, and then we can email it to parents, say, look, if it's a really good piece of work they've done, and they're not quite forthcoming, the students sometimes, believe it or not, and you can get the URL and email it to the parents and say, this is an excellent piece of work they've done. It's really difficult to do that if you've got a physical book. You'd have to take a picture of it or wait for the parents' evening, but this is such a good way of sharing and celebrating their work. It's a really nice way for the students to do it. I think that's what I was going to say. Where are we? This isn't right. Okay, so we don't just use it in Transform. We use it. The whole school uses it. There are some different pages here. I'm hoping that it has worked, so I can show you an example of some of them. Yes. Okay, so this is a history page. What happened with our theme?
Our theme's being updated.
Our theme is being updated, so this doesn't look quite right. It hasn't got our Perrins theme to it, but I just wanted to show you the content. Now this is I think she's now a year 10, but she was in year 9 when she created this. So she had 2 years of Transform, and then history, what they're doing is they've got given this question, and they had to go and research and find some stuff. And this is what they did. And so she is 13, 14. And for us, I know it looks pretty because of the pictures, but actually they really engaged with that. She was so proud of this work. She had some sound effects in there. Of course, that was needed. Some videos. And then this was a science. So in science, what they do is they use it more of as a revision tool. So they go through a topic, they'll have their Mahara open at the same time, and as they're learning stuff and finding stuff on the internet or whatever, they are putting stuff onto their pages, which then they revisit when they want to do revision. And so this is just an example of, so she's actually taken pictures of her actual drawings and then uploaded them onto Mahara as well. So this is just a revision tool for them. So the science teachers then go back and say, right, we're going to do an exam on bonding next week, go back and revise, and they can just bring up their Mahara page and do that.
Okay.
Did you want to quickly say something about that one?
I was just going to say, with secondary students, they have to be engaged visually, so we couldn't just have writing because they'd be really bored with that. And one of the things that the children really love is the profile page on the front of Mahara. They think it's like Facebook, and they share, and some of them are really good, aren't they? They put their pictures on, they share with their friends, they comment on it, and that's really, really popular. That's they have to be engaged visually, we find. If we just had writing, I think they'd get bored. Do you agree, guys? Yeah. So we've had to be really, with the work that we do, we have to make sure that not only has it got good content, but it has to be visually attractive for them as well.
Okay, so we're just going to let them have a quick. I have had no hand in what they're saying, I promise. I've literally said to them, tell me what you like about Mahara, please. And they went away and they wrote something that came back, I vetted it, and then they have now got these comments. Come on, quick, guys. Go for it.
So what I know from everyone that we've heard really, that Mahara is really easy to use and that it's really easy to navigate through it. So we know what everything is and we know how to use all the different tools. And it means that we can explore other web tools like Powtoon and stuff, which as they link into Mahara and they're easy to put on. And Mahara follows nicely, it spots the way to the next step for us, so we know where to go to carry on with our work to improve it. And it's definitely one of the easiest work platforms we use, and I know that we all hope that we can continue using it throughout our school years, really, for our different schools.
We also think it's a very good way to kind of store all your work in one place so that you can't lose it. And it's also very good if you want to share ideas with others, because you can submit pages and post them on your groups so other people can see your work, and you can kind of reflect off others to see what each other's ideas are, and it kind of helps you to make your own page better.
So Mahara is really interactive and fun because you can make your own profile page, and you can colour the fonts and add pictures and videos like your achievements, and so the information's all in smaller chunks, so it's much easier to take in instead of just having one big list of writing. You can leave your comments and feedbacks on other people's work so that you can improve from their comments, and hopefully they'll improve from yours.
Thank you. Well done, girls. Very quickly then, I'll just come to the kind of a whole school initiative that we started this year. We felt that the students did so much around school, they achieved so much that and because a lot of colleges around us were thinking about this all kind of e-learning stuff, we wanted to create a record of achievement that was for students to add their achievements in throughout the whole school. So we came up with something we've called it Perins Passport to Success, but it's basically a record of achievement. We launched it in Transform just because we had all the students at the same time and we could just do the space lesson, but it's basically they're going to be doing it in tutor time and in PDL lessons. And they are going to be tracking their progress on there, and they're going to be adding up anything they've done outside of school or in school achievement-wise that they would want employers or colleges or wherever to have a look at. So this is what we created for them, because we were launching it in year 7, so they needed a bit more of a framework. We put hobbies and stuff. This is the first page, so this is what they're doing in year 7 and year 8. They are writing all their achievements in there and everything, and at the top with different tabs, we have given them an example of what it could look like using good terminology and language, and maybe putting in pictures and different fonts so it's a bit more interactive for them. The third tab, My Progress, is for them to be able to record what they get on their reports. So when they get a report, they can write down the stuff on their report, so they can then see for the year what they got for their reports for every single subject, and kind of track their progress, their academic progress throughout the year as well, and not just this piece of paper that they get sent home with. It's all there. And the very last one is what we'd like them to fill in year 11. So when they're getting prepared to go to college, at the moment they're doing that on a Word document, lots of different. I'm a year 11 tutor at the moment, and they are all over the place because they don't know what a CV looks like, and they're trying to scramble all this stuff together for them. Well, we're hoping is going to be a place for everything to be together. They'll be able to share this with everyone else in the year group. They're going to be able to see what someone else's CV looks like, what someone else's statement looks like, and really help each other. And we're hoping that this then will be able to take with them to a college when they move on from Perrins. And that's it. Here is, although that looks, you can't really see, our email addresses. I know a couple of people have come up to us and asked about at secondary school level if we are available for questions and anything else if you want to hear that. Thank you.